everybody. We got through our technical difficulties. And welcome to the first Indiegogo workout. The point of the workouts are so that we can share a lot of best practices for campaigners who are working on the platform to leverage crowdfunding as best possible. So today I have a wonderful guest with me, campaign specialist here at Indiegogo, David, who is going to walk through just some basics around crowdfunding, some core concepts to keep in mind, and then share some pretty sort of basic tips. We're excited about this. And if you have any questions, feel free to tweet at us with the hashtag #GoGoWorkout. And we'll be answering those at the second part after we have a brief conversation about crowdfunding. Welcome, David.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So there's a number of people watching, and I know a lot of people have different, some people may be artists, some people may be entrepreneurs, some people might just have an idea. And I kind of want to just explain what's the concept of crowdfunding. Could you just walk people through it a bit?
Sure. So in a sentence, crowdfunding lets people raise funds for what they're passionate about. Just like you mentioned, whether it's something creative, entrepreneurial, whether it's for a cause, whether it's for something like medical bills, anything. Crowdfunding allows people to create a page which explains their project and lets you then distribute it to the world and get funds from the crowd and help make their dreams come true.
Nice. So, like, what are some potential benefits of crowdfunding? The way people talk about crowdfunding, it's like just about funds, but it's a lot more than that, right?
Right. So I think the name crowdfunding is a little bit of a misnomer. Funding is obviously a big part of it, but I think that's maybe like a second or third most important benefit to it. So as you collect funds, you're also collecting an audience that's really engaged and excited about what you're doing. And crowdfunding lets you engage with them in a way that was not possible before. So, for example, if you're creating a product or a new product, you're launching your company, people are contributing to you. This is like one giant focus group for you. This is a whole group of people that really care about what you're doing and can help you make it better. So the important thing to do is when you run your campaign, to engage them, to ask them questions, to ask for feedback, to get them excited about what you're doing. This will make whatever you're doing better, whether it's you're creating a film, you want to get their opinions, you're making a record, you're launching a product, as I mentioned. In almost any sense, you can really engage the crowd in a very deep, meaningful way, and actually make your product better. So what crowdfunding also has allowed it to do is really kind of test the market this way. So we've actually had people who run campaigns that have failed come to us and thank us for letting them have this opportunity, because they realized that through crowdfunding that something was off in their message. Like the messaging was off, the product wasn't quite there, and they were able to go back to the drawing board and make it better. And this was kind of a low-risk way for them to do so. On the flip side of that, the crowd that is funding gets really psyched when you ask for their feedback. People don't expect this. In the old days, it was a simple transaction. You have your product, you either buy it, you don't buy it. You have a movie, you either go see it, you don't see it. You don't really interact with the makers. But what crowdfunding does is it opens up the creative process to everybody. So if you interact with these people and they all of a sudden are giving you feedback, they love this because they don't expect it, and then all of a sudden it becomes just your project that they're funding. It's their project too. And that's super, super important, because those are the people that are going to spread the word everywhere because they're invested in what you're doing.
So funding's a part of it. It can be an incubator.
Yep.
Or crowdfunding, you're building an audience, people invested in what you do, an interest base. So there's a lot of uses beyond just the conception that funding is the goal.
And I think that the campaigns that do the best on our site are the people that recognize all of these different benefits and can really take advantage of all of them.
Definitely. So on the site, we've definitely seen sort of 3 core buckets of types of campaigns. I was wondering if you could speak to sort of the 3, I don't know, 3 buckets.
So crowdfunding on Indiegogo can be used for almost anything, really. If you're looking for funds for any kind of project, pretty much anything out there that's within, that's legal within our terms of service can be funded. We're an open platform. That's what makes us awesome, I think. But generally, campaigns fall into 3 different types. So there's the creative ones. So this is making a film. You're a writer, a theater project, making a record. You're trying to fund a tour. Some sort of creative.
An album,
yeah, something creative. There's the entrepreneurial. So this is you're launching a company. You have a cool new product you're just starting to make. You need to take to scale. We have tons of amazing projects in the design and tech categories that fit very well in there. You're a small business. And then also we have cause-related campaigns, which is you're raising funds to help the homeless in Africa. You're raising funds to help your dog have surgery. So it can be something really, really on a worldwide scale, but it can also be something super, super personal. Your friend's in the hospital and they don't have insurance, then you're raising funds for their medical bills. These are all different ways to use our platform. And I would actually love to take a look at an example of each of these.
Yeah.
So why don't we do that?
Cool. Emma, actually before that, why don't we talk about the different elements of a crowdfunding campaign? So there's these different kinds of crowdfunding campaigns, and we're going to go through those a little bit later. But let's talk a little bit about what makes a good campaign, if that's cool with you.
Sure.
Great. So there's a couple key parts when you're putting together a funding campaign on Indiegogo, right? That you have to sort of get these down. And the first is the pitch. I was wondering if you talk a little bit about the pitch.
Sure. So the pitch is generally comprised of 2 different things. So most of you, I'm assuming, have been on our site, so you've seen a campaign page. The pitch is comprised of a written text portion and a video. So both of these are pretty important. There's reading people out there and there's video people out there. People who want to watch and they don't want to read, and then vice versa. I like to read personally, and I won't watch the video until I see all the details. So you want to appeal to both of them. So you want to have a video. It's really, really important to put yourself out there and tell your story. Regardless of which type of project you're doing across the whole site, it's super important storytelling is a really important aspect because people want to connect with other people, and people contribute to people, not to projects as much. So what that means is you should tell your story, who you are, how you got where you are, why you're doing this, why you need funds.
What's the point of the project? Why are you doing this, and why is it important? You're talking about text and storytelling. I'm a big social media guy, so what I like to see visuals and campaigns that put a really great sort of priority on the images within their pitches really get my attention. Actually,
absolutely.
That's another thing that I would say.
And we'll take a look at a couple of examples to just show you what that looks like.
Cool. And then your goal, right? And so people, I think, get confused about what a goal for crowdfunding should be. The monetary
portion, yeah, it's always tricky. That's probably the #1 question I get is what should my goal be? In a quick sentence, your goal should be the most conservative amount you need to push your project forward and to fulfill your purpose, which we will also talk about later. We have a couple of different types of funding. We have fixed funding and flexible funding. So fixed funding, what that means is that when you set your goal, if you hit your goal, you get your funds. And if you don't hit your goal, everybody's refunded. So what this is good for is, when you have a case when there's a very strict kind of go, no-go barrier between you and your project. So if you can make, $10,000, you can do your project. If you can't make it, you cannot do your project. So a lot of this prototyping with small business stuff, there's definitely cases where this is definitely the funding method that should be used. Our other method is flexible funding, where you get to keep the funds even if you don't hit your goal. And this makes sense when you have other sources of income that you can use to piece together the rest of the funds, and you're going to do the project anyway. Even if you don't reach your goal, you're still going to do it, and you're still going to be able to fulfill your perks. Flexible funding then definitely makes sense.
Okay. And then what about your perks? That's another element of the campaign.
So the perks, another key element of crowdfunding.
You got to give something.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. So people aren't just donating funds to you. In some cases they are, but most of the time, one of the reasons that crowdfunding works so well is because you're giving something back to them. And this is the whole perks system. So what you want is, this is completely up to you. There's really great examples on our site, but you want to have perks at different levels to reward people at the level that they're passionate about your project. So somebody who's maybe like a friend of a friend of a friend, saw this on Facebook, kind of interested, like, this looks kind of cool, I'll support it. So you want to have like a $5 or $10 perk, kind of low level, be like something as simple as like, thank you on my website. Very easy to fulfill, very easy to do. And then there's the people who are like your actual friends, who are hopefully really supportive of you, and 25 bucks, 50 bucks, $100. We've seen a lot of T-shirts. We've seen a lot of, really the sky's the limit. And then there's your mother, your brother, your family, who's really, really, really psyched about your project, really, and are excited, contributed a lot of money, $500, $1,000. So it's really good to have a nice range, so that people who are different levels of passion about your project can contribute where they feel comfortable.
Well, and I guess the different types of campaigns are going to have really different types of perks.
Absolutely, and we'll take a look at that as well.
We're almost there, we promise. We promise. And then the last one is just communicating with people, right? So as people operating campaigns, some people come to Indiegogo and they think they can just put the campaign up and it will magically generate funds. That's not the case either.
It is not, unfortunately. If it was that easy, everyone in the world would be doing this. So what I've talked about so far is the portion you can actually see. So you can go to our site and you can see all of these different things and you can learn from it. The tough part is the communication, which you can't see. Our successful campaigns communicate and work on the campaign every single day that they're live. Posting on social media, email outreach. Email actually converts better than any other method. So it's really, really important to run an email outreach campaign at the beginning of your campaign to both your inner circle of friends and family, and then kind of a wider net to your general address book. And obviously Facebook, Twitter are both really effective, especially if you have a decent following. But it's very, very important to stay active and sending updates as well through the site. So updates go to all the funders that have funded your campaign. So as I mentioned before, these are the people that are the most excited about what you're doing. So these are the people you should engage with and use them as a resource, as a way to get feedback and encourage them to share the campaign, because if they're passionate about it, they'll want you to succeed too.
Cool. Let's get through some campaigns. Let's take a little glance, because I think that'll be helpful in kind of illustrating what we've been talking about. So we're going to screen share, which is exciting. And the first campaign we're going to look at is, one sec here, everybody. So the first campaign we're going to look at here is the James Franco campaign that's currently running. We thought it'd be helpful to look at some active campaigns on the site right now. So this is an example of a creative campaign. So James Franco has come to Indiegogo looking to jump into a new and different sort of project than he typically does. And so yeah, he's a celebrity, but I think it's a really good example of a campaign that anybody can do. You've got a pitch video up front. You've got a clear goal that you're trying to reach. He's looking to make a series of films, working with some budding filmmakers that recently graduated from film school. And he's also donating a portion of his profits to and all profits from the film will be donated to a nonprofit. So what he's done here is he's told a visual story. If you read the text, it talks through sort of his process about what he's making, why he needs the money he's needing, what he's excited about, and sort of the description of the project. So he's really transparent here about what he's looking for. And on the right side, if you go up and down, you'll start to see the perks. There's ones that are like sort of the lower ones up at the top are, digital, like a copy of the film, recognition of being someone who's supporting the project. And then as you go down lower, he has ones that are a little bit, you have art postcard or a yearbook photo, kind of like in the theme of the film. Down a little bit lower, you have some like more personalized different perks. So, you have a personalized video from James. You have a cell phone voicemail. You get started, you can be creative with your perks, and you can leverage the sort of spirit of whatever you're funding to offer perks that are associated with that. So you get VIP screenings, and it gets like higher and higher amounts where you get credits for the film. So you can be an associate producer. You can meet people, come and be in the movie. So it's a really good example of how a campaign can be structured with a very clear message, some great visuals, a good pitch video, and then some extensive perks that allow people to be involved in the project on many different levels.
And for the really high-end perks, in like the several thousands, the key is to offer an experience, a unique experience that no one else will have, that you want people to feel special, and that you really couldn't buy otherwise. To be in the film, that's pretty amazing. An original painting by James Franco, probably wouldn't be able to buy that otherwise. So these are very unique, exciting perks. So I think that's a really great, it's a good example of awesome high-level perks right there.
Cool. So let's talk about an entrepreneurial campaign.
Sure.
Right. So one on the site right now.
One on the site right now. We have our biggest campaign on the site at the moment, the Scanadu Scouts, which is a little device that is a medical device. Basically, you hold it up to your forehead, and it scans for a bunch of different vital signs. It's very, very easy to use, and it actually brings this whole analysis and into your home. So you don't have to go to the doctor's office to get a reading of all your vital signs, and you can track them over time. So as you can see, this is also a really awesome looking campaign. It's made over $1 million and still going. It's gotten a lot of press, so if you get any press for your campaign, it's definitely good to highlight it because it's a great way to build legitimacy. It shows people that you're legit, and then other people think that what you're doing is awesome. Very visual, again, super, super visual. Talks about where they are in the process of development. So a lot of these entrepreneurial campaigns, launching a product, you want to talk about what you've done already. So you probably shouldn't crowdfund right at, when you just at the idea phase with a product, but when you've already done some work and you just need the final funds to get the product out there, that's the best time. So it talks about the journey right here. Very, very visual, shows the perks in a visual way. It shows the team right here. Again, this also is awesome because it makes people feel a personal connection to the product. So it's not just a nameless company. It's these guys that have done research for years and years. Some other data, infographics like this are always really awesome because they convey a lot of information that's very, very easy to read in a very visual way. And again, the perks here are, for entrepreneurial campaigns like this, the perks are pretty clear. You just have like the product itself. People are super psyched about, so you can see a ton of these have been claimed. And usually for products like this, you want to offer them at a discount. You want to offer them early. You want to offer limited edition versions that are only available through the campaign. These are the things that get people excited because people want to feel like they're getting in on something special and early, and they're part of a crowd that's really, and so they can get really, really excited about this. And we're going to take a look now at a cause-based campaign, which is a little different. So you'll see kind of the variety of the campaigns on our site.
So I really wanted to pick this campaign because I very much like sloths, and I think they're quite adorable. And this is a campaign that was put together by the Sloth Sanctuary of Costa Rica. And what they're doing is they've been around for a long time, but they have a particular project they're trying to raise money for, where they're trying to fund the research of how to release sloths safely into the wild. And so not only are they funding the research, but they're also funding sort of like the tracking of the sloths in the wild. So they have some sort of technical needs that they can't fund under their current grant system. So this is a good example of a campaign because they've been really able to leverage the element of their work that people can connect to, which is the cuteness of sloths. So just right away, you have this video, and you have sloths really featured there. They've also uploaded a gallery right over here with tons of photos and videos of sloths from their sanctuary to really draw the connection between what people might care about. Like, look at this. I mean, how can you resist any of these photos? But this is what people are going to care about, and it's going to make them want to give, is just that, saving these animals that they care about. So, like, cause campaigns are really about sort of an emotional response. And then when you look through the campaign, this is a great example of a campaign because they tell the, sort of the story of why they need help right now and what they're going to do with it. So this is like an example of the, they're actually showing what they're doing. They're applying these trackers to these sloths. And then they sort of break down where money would go and how much things cost so people can understand why they're asking for this money. They show a budget, and then they have another cute photo of a sloth. But then you look at the perks over here, and they've got a, again, it's ranges from $10 down to $2,000. And, at the beginning is sort of recognition for giving, so people can participate in this. And then when it gets a little bit more, you get, a key ring or a photo of a sloth or a signed photo. You can even get a sloth Skype chat, which is pretty incredible. And that's a really creative way because they are in Costa Rica, so they're able to reach across the world for people to be able to connect with their project. And then you can actually, sponsor individual sloths. You can get a sloth tour or actually purchase one of the GPS collars yourself. So this is a really great example of a campaign that can tell the story and also kind of really show why they're funding what they're funding. So hopefully, we're back. Hopefully each of those were helpful to take a look at and kind of the 4 different parts of a campaign, right? So you have the pitch, which is the main section with the video and telling the story and with a bunch of images, right? And then you have your goal, which you have to think about how people are going to receive your goal as well, right? So make sure being transparent is a good thing with funding on Indiegogo. And then we also have the perks, which need to be running from small amounts to a bit larger and make sure to tie into the project itself. And then each of these campaigns, which you weren't able to see there, but they do regular updates. They update new content to the campaigns, like the sloth campaign with photos of sloths, again, the sloths. But it's just a good example of making sure that there are these elements of a campaign. And we want to go, did you have anything?
Yeah, so when you look at these very different types of campaigns, a lot of people ask, like, why do people contribute to this? Like, why, my friends and family, okay, I understand they're supporting me, the person, but why would people outside of that group contribute to a crowdfunding campaign? So these campaigns hit on a couple of the reasons. One of which, of course, are the perks. So we talked about perks a bunch. They just want the thing that you have. You have an awesome thing for the Scanadu campaign. I think that's a very clear perk-based campaign where it's an awesome product and they want to get it early and they're super excited about it and that's what they want to support. But people also contribute for different reasons. They're passionate about your project. So for the sloth campaign, they're super into animal conservancy in Central America, for example. They don't, I mean, a key ring is nice, but really they just want to support the sanctuary, and they are passionate about the general scope of the project. So that campaign is much more based on the actual, like, what they're doing and having that be really compelling. And people also want to feel a sense of participation in something bigger than themselves as well. So it's really, really important to think about who exactly your audience is and why they're going to contribute. Mm-hmm. And if you can actually figure out an element of your campaign that's, these people are going to contribute because they're passionate about this, while these people are just going to want these perks. If you can really target both of those segments in your campaign and think that through when you're creating it, it'll benefit you greatly in the long run.
Can you talk a little bit about setting a reasonable goal and some things that people should keep in mind when they're thinking about their goals? Both, like, maybe talk a little bit like a really small goal and then larger projects that are more ambitious.
Sure. So for, as I mentioned before, conservative goals are generally better because campaigns are all about momentum. It's super important to have most of your contributions, or about a third of your contributions, come in within the first few days of the campaign. So why is this? 30% or so of your contributions should come from your own inner circle of friends and family. This is a good little yardstick to figure out how big your goal should be. So the reason for that is those are the people that are going to contribute to your campaign regardless, because they know you, they probably heard about your project before. You should be prepping them before the project even starts to be like, hey, I'm launching this thing, so that they're ready. Day one, day two, all these people should be contributing then. The reason for that is when you hit about 30%, the project looks like it's going to be a success. And when you blast it out further to strangers, to people who maybe had never heard of you but kind of saw it from a friend of a friend's Facebook or saw some news article, some write-up about it, they come to the campaign, they need to see that there's progress in order for them to feel confident in contributing. So it's really important that it's all about that little green bar that you saw on the top right. When it's about a third full, people will be like, oh yeah, cool, this is on its way to success.
So if you set it too high, it doesn't ever really get to that momentum to make people feel convinced that it's going to really get there.
Exactly. Okay. So if you have a goal of $200,000 and you made $10,000 and you have all these write-ups and people come there, and $10,000 is a lot of money, but it really doesn't look like much when the goal is 200. It's only 5% of your total goal. So a lot of those people will come and say, oh, this is an awesome project. I'll check back later, see how it's doing. And that's like not what the reaction you want. What you want is, oh yeah, I want to be a part of this. Now this is going to be a success. And likewise, another big question I get is, oh, if I set my goal too small, people will just stop funding when I hit it, and then I'll make less money. That is actually almost counterintuitively not the case. So you saw the Scan and Do campaign. $100,000 goal, they're at 1.1 million. They're over 10 times their goal, over 11 times their goal. And this happens all the time. The reason for this is that when a campaign hits its goal, it's validated as a success. And just crowd mentality, people want to be a part of success. And if they feel like it's a successful project already, they're going to want to be a part of it too. So in general, as I mentioned before, set your goal to be the most conservative amount you can to move your project forward and fulfill your goals.
Nice. And then what about how long the project should go? That's like some people don't know if like doing a quick one is a good idea or what's too long.
Sure.
What do you recommend?
Generally, we found, based on our data, most successful campaigns run between 35 and 45 days. This is just long enough so you can spread the word to everybody who should care about your project, but not so long that you lose all momentum and then it just kind of hangs there. You definitely don't want that. The time limit is really good, and it's really important to remember that longer projects don't actually earn more money. So we've had projects 55 days, 60 days, they actually earn less than ones that run for about 40 days because you have that sense of urgency. So at the very end of the campaign, people are like, oh man, I gotta donate. I gotta contribute right now because this is my last chance to do so.
Cool. So we're coming to the end of our talk here. If you have any questions, feel free to tweet with the hashtag #GoGoWorkout, and we're going to answer things based on tweets that we receive. So we're going to just keep talking a little bit.
Group chat as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you want to use the chat function.
No. So just feel free to tweet at us, and then we're going to just chat a little bit more. I don't see any questions yet. I don't know if you guys are on Twitter or not, but you should be. I don't know. Okay, so do you want to talk a little bit about pitch video, like some basic advice?
Sure.
Yeah.
So for videos, one of the things people, campaigners come up to me, they say, oh, I don't feel comfortable in front of the camera. I'm not really sure. Like, should I do this? I should just put info about the product. But again, it's really important for people to feel a connection to a person who's kind of the spokesperson for the campaign. So if you're not comfortable in front of the camera, find someone who is. You can talk about the campaign and tell your story. A video should generally be no longer than 3 minutes. Super quick. It doesn't have to be grand production. It doesn't have to be insanely high quality. You don't have to pay $10,000. to like make a very, very pro video in most cases.
People have no attention spans whatsoever.
Right. Just keep that in mind.
No attention spans.
None. So the first 5 to 10 seconds, you can throw like a hook in there, something to get people to be, oh, this is interesting. I want to keep watching. That's really key. And then kind of mix up a talking head portion, like somebody on screen talking, telling the story of the campaign, and mix that up with, you know, quick cuts of like your project, of other things. So like the product you're making, or the film you're making, or, you know, the cute puppy you're trying to save. All these things that mix can be really, really nice. So it just keeps people interested and will get people to watch your entire video. It's really, really important that it's really as engaging as possible. And test this out. Like, shoot something when you think you have it done. Show it to some friends. Show it to some friends of friends, people you don't know. Be like, how far did you get? Were you bored by it? Were you excited by it? Did you make it all the way through? Like, what was the feeling you felt? These are the kinds of ways. These are great things to do before you launch the campaign. It's just to test this stuff out.
And another thing is, like, you know, it's good to get the feedback from other people, but it's also really good to go on Indiegogo.com and actually look at a lot of different campaigns on the site, especially in the type of campaign you want to run. And so don't operate just that you have to come up with everything. There's so many people that have done this already that you can really see different campaigns that inspire you that you think are successful. Make sure to look at successful campaigns. Then you can see what perks sold or didn't. You know, like if you are an artist and you're looking to write a book, make sure you're comparing yourself on like the creative elements of like perks that people might be interested in. And also be real about your own audience as well. If you have an online audience or an offline audience, and just be prepared to communicate with them about how you've always communicated with them and fostered those people.
Yeah, our site is the best resource, really. Like, we can talk at you all day about best practices, but really the best way you can learn on how to crowdfund is to go look at successful campaigns on Indiegogo within the type of campaign you're doing. So if you're making a film, go look at the successful film campaigns and pick a bunch, and then try to see if you can figure out why each one was successful. Did they have an awesome video and like it was just so compelling, people were super psyched on it? Did they have really kick-ass perks that people just wanted, like, you know, the chance to be in the film, etc. And if you can look at a bunch of them and really collect a ton, and then really pick out the reasons why each was successful, and then combine that into like one super campaign that your campaign will obviously be, that will really help you a lot in the long run.
Great. Well, it looks like people have tweeted, but no questions. But thanks for joining us on this first Indiegogo workout with all our fun things at the beginning. Thank you for coming in, David. I appreciate it.
No problem.
And we're going to have these every week, drilling down on different topics around crowdfunding. Someone's coming up pretty soon, or around perks, around fulfilling those perks and things you should keep in mind so you don't make it hard on yourself later. Also setting stretch goals, and then we're going to drill down into specific campaign types as well. So thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
And hopefully you all join us again next week. Okay, bye.